And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
This week, we hear an example of total member involvement from the 1860s.
Welcome to This Week in Seventh-day Adventist History. On February 23 in 1868, Isaac Van Horn organized a Seventh-day Adventist church in Bowersville, Ohio. Van Horn, who you see here, later became known as a pioneer preacher on the U.S. West Coast. But early in his career, he worked in the Midwest, which was the early stronghold of Seventh-day Adventism. But Ohio, the state of Ohio, was not a stronghold. The largest congregation of Seventh-day Sabbath keepers there was in Gilboa, but they were hostile to any organization above the local congregation, and there was also some sentiment against Ellen White. Van Horn was able to organize the church in Bowersville because of the work done by a dedicated layman, William Cottrell. He and his wife were isolated from other Sabbath keepers, but were determined not to remain so. William started visiting from home to home, sharing his faith in 1866, and eventually, nearly 2 years later, Van Horn was sent to build on Cottrell's work. It's an early Adventist example of total member involvement. 86 years and 1 day later, on February 24, 1954, Edward and Ruth Duerksen arrived in Georgetown, Guyana, then part of the British West Indies. Edward was a physician and had been called to direct the work of a recently founded clinic in Georgetown, capital of Guyana. This was the first Adventist medical missionary work in that country. By the end of the year, so that is just in the first 10 months, Dr. Duerksen had treated a total of 5,295 patients, half of them charity cases, whose expenses the church covered for free. Edward and Ruth Duerksen spent 3 years in Guyana. As a result of their work before they left in 1955, the clinic had been converted into a hospital, which was subsequently named after Ovid Davis, a pioneer missionary to the indigenous peoples in the mountains of Guyana. Davis Memorial Clinic and Hospital still operates today as a 40-bed hospital. That was This Week in Adventist History.